first of all, what can our listeners and readers and attendees expect from that presentation?
Well, it's an exciting one for us. We're excited to have. We haven't had Palmer Johnson over here to do a program in a while. We've had Bay Ship on a couple occasions, so this is exciting, and particularly exciting at this time because Palmer Johnson's really been starting to ratchet up now in terms of what they've been able to produce. And anybody who's been in Sturgeon Bay knows that they've been able to see some of these spectacular yachts the last couple of years that have been sitting on the waterfront. And now we're going to probably see some more here in the coming year. So it's pretty exciting to see what they're doing with their yacht construction program. So Paul Gray, who's their operations manager over at Palmer Johnson, is going to be coming over and doing a presentation and talk a little bit about the history of PJ. But then he's also going to get into what has been their renaissance of new vessels that they've gotten into, these sports yachts that they've started to create. And so he's going to be talking about that. He's going to talk a little bit about the recession and the problems they had during that time, and how they've come out of that recession and what they're doing with it now with their new designs that they're producing at Palmer Johnson. So it should be a really interesting presentation. One I've really been looking forward to, and we're really appreciative to Palmer Johnson for coming over and for Paul coming over to do that.
How would you describe just that relationship between Palmer Johnson and the city of Sturgeon Bay? Obviously, a big part of it. I mean, how would you describe that relationship?
Well, it goes back a long ways, and I think it's really rooted in the history of shipbuilding in Sturgeon Bay. And it goes back to the time when it was originally called Sturgeon Bay Boat Works, and they just built some small boats. In fact, here at the museum downstairs, we got one of those original. It's nothing more than a glorified rowboat downstairs, and that was one of the very first vessels that they built over there. So their history extends all the way back just over 100 years here in Sturgeon Bay. Eventually assumed the name of Palmer Johnson, who was an actual person and who actually had the company, and then ultimately it was purchased by a fellow by the name of Pat Haggerty, and Pat Haggerty was one of the founders of Texas Instruments down in Dallas, and one of the real forerunners of the electronic age. And he came up, and sometimes you always hear, he liked the company so much he bought it. He bought a vessel that had been built here at Palmer Johnson, liked it, and infused a huge amount of money into it. And of course, it has helped elevate it to the level that it carried to now an international yacht builder. So its history is just kind of goes right through the whole history of shipbuilding here in Sturgeon Bay, and obviously it's been a pivotal part of ship construction for, like I said, for a long time.
All right, and I overheard you doing this. Don't know if this is kind of official or not, but these are usually free programs, but starting with this one, you'll be raising some, hopefully collect some perishable food items for local charities. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right, yeah, Rick Farrell, our new executive director, came up with this idea, and actually it's a pretty good idea. We normally always pass the hat in the past, and it was for the museum, but we really didn't raise a huge amount of money. We don't hold big crowds. So he said, why don't we just, for the course of the series, why don't we just have them bring a perishable food item, and we'll collect them, and then we'll give them to one of the food pantries in town. And it's really a good idea. So yeah, in the future when people come, we just ask them to bring, just one's fine. If they want to bring a couple or three, that'd be great too. We'll just have a collection box here to take them, and you can just drop them in, and in the meanwhile, we'll help the community, and hopefully they'll get a program that they enjoy.